Namaskar, hello and welcome. You're watching Lockdown Art Series with me, Nagesh Rao Sardesai. We have Yolanda de Sousa as guest today, and she is one of my favorite. She is a very kind, gentle, and generous lady. From my point of view, a person who has straddled two completely diametrically opposite or paradoxical fields. One is football, where aggression is required, or physical activity is required, or external work is required. At the same time, she has also been a very good painter, where you have to go inside, you have to search inside, you have to be creative, you have to be more submissive, or rather sit at home and do a lot of things, which does not require aggression. So she has done both these things with aplomb, I would say, and she has excelled in both these things surprisingly, which is very difficult for anybody to do. And besides that, she has had number of shows as painter and has won number of laurels as football player. So again, there is excellence there. She was working in a government firm as a designer, and then she quit it up just to follow her passion, that is painting. She says, I want to do only painting. And she started painting from that on, and opened a gallery along with her husband in Calangute, which is the most popular tourist destination in the world, called Art Chambers. This art chamber was not just a commercial gallery, it also gave space to young upcoming artists at a reasonable rate, and give them a platform which was badly required at that point of time. She also has instituted an award for upcoming artists. Again, trying to promote Goan artists, so young artists, talented people in Goa, and that again I think speaks about her attitude. That is attitude of gratitude. She has instituted that in the name of Dr. Pedro Cabral Adao, the former Consul General of Portugal in Goa, who was a great friend of artists and young artists, especially, and was art lover himself. He promoted art to a great extent, and Yolanda has taken cognizance of that and has instituted this award in his name, which he gives annually, and it goes to the most promising young artist of the year. It is also pertinent to note that she is non-interfering. She's unbiased, because I have been a judge once, one annual award, and I have seen that she does not interfere at all. She gives freedom to the judges to decide who is to be given the award, and I think that is again speaks about her quality. So please welcome a very warm welcome, Yolanda, to this show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure always talking to you, Nagesh, because you're an artist yourself, so you understand artists not much better than many others, I would think, because it can give you a better insight into the mind of an artist and art as a whole. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Pleasure is mine as well. Okay, Yolanda, let me start with the same question that I have asked all my participants, because of the issues that are happening right now in the world. Coronavirus, as an individual, as a human being, how do you see this corona issue that is cropped up and is engulfed the whole world as a human being, from a human standpoint?
Well, I think it's kind of it's something to really take seriously, in the sense that I think too much wrong was going on in this world. So this is like a wake-up call to everybody, because I think it has been a while since the world has been fighting a one issue together, something that's life-threatening to everybody. So nobody becomes different, nobody becomes bigger than the other. It's just brought everybody down to ground level. So I think of it as a wake-up call for us to change ourselves from within, and hopefully be together in this catastrophe, which I can say, and pray, which people think is not important at times, but I very important at this time. I don't think it's different, because faith works miracles. And if you have faith, that's all that's needed. So hopefully things will change. But at the moment, yes, the world is down. Everything is down, and we've got to really fight not only the the sickness, the virus, but also the economy that's going down. It's become also a personal battle for many, who cannot make ends meet because there's no way out. There's no way that you can open things, the way it used to be. So it's tough. It's tough. Yep.
That's a nice way of putting it. In fact, I think this is also, even though it is a negative aspect, but we have suddenly been grounded. Each one has been grounded and
Absolutely.
has realized that we have to work united. We
Absolutely.
have to survive. We cannot survive individually
That's true.
at this point of time. Nice.
No, we can't.
And that's true that we have to have faith, and that is what is losing. I think that is what is also part of the mess here, because we have been doing whatever comes to our mind without thinking about the rest of the world, or even our neighbors, or even our friends, or people who are slightly less fortunate. That's true.
Very true. Very true.
How do you see this now as an artist? Whether it has been a boon or a bane. Of course, it cannot be a boon, but I'm talking from a different point of view. And how this has changed your perception, how you have taken it, and how it has changed your perception about life as an artist.
Yeah, basically, as an artist, except that I used to travel a lot, and that, of course, I'm missing because almost every year I travel for international art camp, So 2018, I had to kind of drop, 2019, I had to take a drop for personal reasons. And then I thought, 2020, I will be traveling, but it didn't happen. Other than that, basically, I'm not a very sociable person in that sense. I like to have my solitude. I like to be alone. I like to paint alone. But what has changed is that the free mind that you had, as in when this virus wasn't there, it's not the same. It's not the same. You go to your studio, but I don't feel inspired to paint because I hate to paint negatives, I hate to paint negatives. But these things come in your mind. And initially, kind of, I just said, okay, let me go and express myself as to what I feel about the virus. And I did quite a few little works, very little work, 6x4. And then I tried to, mix it up with a digital art and whatever. And still, you at least for me, I feel that I'm still not there. I don't feel that freedom which I normally have in painting at the moment. So I'm taking it very easily, trying new things, trying to get back into having a space in my mind that's more free, more open, and not hanging on to the negatives of the situation that we are in. So yeah, in many ways it has changed, because when you have things, you don't want them. You don't mind not having. Like, I'm not a very outgoing person. I like to go to the beach, or on my own, or to the field side, or whatever. And sometimes with my kid to the restaurant. Very rare though. But now that you can't do these things, then you miss them. Then you feel you're locked down, which otherwise you don't even think about, So yeah, I'm taking it in a way that, okay, we are there and we have to face it, So there's nothing that one can do. So I just try to take the best of what I get from, from the fact that I'm at home, which I normally always am anyways, except that meeting, people, like-minded people, meeting artists, having, people come to the gallery, interact with various people. This is definitely missing, because you can't do that anymore. I've just, during the monsoon, of course, the gallery, normally I keep it closed. But you have stray people coming, people who come during the monsoons and whatever. So you do have an interact with the outer world, even though the gallery is closed, which now, of course, is not possible. So it's more of going on the net, and even the net, it's like full of the coronavirus problems. So then I watch some movies which take off from this kind of a thinking. But yeah, you take life as it comes. I just believe that you have life goes on. You cannot stop it, so you might as well get used to the way it is and make the best of it.
That's
So that's what I kind of believe in, and kind of try to adjust to the situation.
so
Yep.
we understand the value of it when we lose it, basically.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
So let's
That's it.
back to understanding as to how you got into art.
Yeah.
Basis of it.
Yeah. No, I always loved to paint. I mean, but in those days,
No,
we were the first batch, by the way,
question is just
of art college.
my question is more so because you're also a
Yeah.
football player. I mean, it's like
Exactly. I know I get this question thrown at me every time. So it's become like routine for me to kind of, answer that. But the fact remains that, playing, every child likes to play. Every child, I'm sure that even you have played, everybody loves to play. But yeah, my dad was a player. So maybe that's the reason why I had more of the playing thing in me. But then again, my mom used to paint. So possibly I got it from her, because all four of us, like, mom would train us to paint, not to paint, to draw and whatever, because she used to teach drawing in the Portuguese school. Um, and I think in those days, the Portuguese schools always had art as a subject which was taken very seriously, because most of the people in those days, they knew how to go about art or whatever. They might not have had a wide view of the world view, I mean. So anyways, the point is that I always liked to paint, and I just thought I should go for art because I liked it. And my grandma, she said, yes, you if you like to do that, you go for it. And I knew about JJ College of Art in Bombay. So mom went there when I was in SSC. I took art for SSC actually, although I didn't have an art teacher. But I wanted to, because that was one of the needs, the criteria was that if you join art college, you must have your either your 11th with art or have that intermediate, or whatever you call it, intermediate. So when my mom went to Bombay, she went to the JJ College of Arts to check on, and they told her there, the principal who came here later, she met him actually by chance, and he says, listen, art college is going to, Goa is going to have an art college, so don't think of bringing your kid here, let her join the art college. So that's how it happened, and yeah, that was my dream was to join an art college and be an artist. That was, I didn't have second thoughts about that. So that's what happened. Though many times I tried to get out of it, not because I loved it less, because when you're young, you want to play, and then you have people who come and say, hey, what are you doing in art college? You don't have any sports down there. You're there from, morning to evening. What are you doing? At that time, Xavier's, they were the sports kind of a college in Goa. They were very, very good, and they won everything. And I used to play hockey with their teams, actually, with the girls there, even before I passed out from school. So they would tempt me, but I'm so grateful to my principal, because he told me, listen, you just want to go for a few years and you're going to, ruin your whole career. So I'm going to let you go as and when you want. There will not be restrictions, but you're not going to leave, She said, you bring your parents and I will talk to them. So then I said, okay, I'm not supposed to, leave this place. And since he was being nice and was giving me all the liberties that I would be needing, I carried on. And I'm very, very happy about that. I'm very happy about that.
you have played
Yep.
for India as well, and you played at the
Yes.
international level as well. So what is that experience is? It's not related to
That
art.
was a
Just want
great,
to know how you felt and what was the experience then.
yeah, it was a, when you're playing and you're winning, especially when you're winning, it's a high and you love to do it. And I love to play the game anyways. And we used to get a lot of backing from the people here. And I've had my fill, you know. I had always decided that, you know, I will play football until I can, in the sense, and once I leave it, then it's not going to be anything to do with football, because I've given enough of time for it and I have to give time for my art. So that I had decided from the beginning. So I played up to 81. I had an injury before that. And when I was going for the World Cup, I was like being given physiotherapy for 2 months of camp. I have not been on the field playing, only taking physiotherapy. And I was completely all right. And I played in the World Cup. Unfortunately, when I came back, I went to play on our local ground. So in the first moment, I got the injury again. So I thought, this is it, you know.
It's a signal.
This is the time for me, yeah. And I didn't want to go through operations and whatever. I said, no, that's it. And yeah, that's how I stopped playing in 81. And then, you know,
It's art.
It's art, yeah. Although it took a few years for me to kind of, you know, decide to leave the department, because I was working at that time with the design center. So once you're there and you have all your colleagues from art college were also there, it's kind of difficult to leave them, you know, because they, oh, you're going to leave and whatever. But then in 99, I decided, no, I'm going to leave. And that's what I did, 98, I think, yeah. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy with the game that I played, that I don't have any regrets. I don't have that feeling like, oh, I should not have left, or I should have played a few more years. Nothing of that type, because I think I had my total fill of playing, you know, the game. I enjoyed it. I had my glory, and I was happy with it. And yeah, now it's art, and I'm so happy that I left the department at the time that I did. It has been only, you know, sometimes it's like you're sitting in a place just, you know, to have a safety of a job.
Security of a job.
But you're not happy. Yeah, but you're not happy, you know. I wanted to do my own thing, and I wanted to help out in art also, because I know that in schools, for example, we never had, you know, people encouraging art or doing something. I had to do things on my own, like I told you. So after I left, I started actually a competition for artists, you know, schools, because I wanted them to realize that there's an art college and the kids have to know art before they go. Because I know when I went, I was a fresher. I knew nothing of what would be coming or what I should be expecting, you know. So I had these competitions for schools, you know, and it went on for about 4 or 5 years. But then I realized that it was only up to the 7th standard that schools had art, and not beyond that, you know. So anyways, what I'm very happy to say is that every child who won the competition, you know, went to art college and were successful artists. That made me feel very good. But then I had to stop because, you know, I like to start something, but keeping it going sometimes takes a lot more from me. So it kind of interferes with my you know, my time as an artist. So after a few years, in the meantime, of course, it was becoming more popular. Like I started art classes also for the same reason. There were a lot of kids coming, but then I saw that art was being taught in other places also. Then I stopped, because it was already catching up, you know, and people were also already teaching, already having classes going on. But at that time when I started, there were no art classes happening, except I believe in Junta House.
Yeah.
But that was for people who wanted to join art college. So I used to take kids, I used to take adults and youngsters. I mean, kids who wanted to go to art college, very above 10 though, not below 10, kids above 10. And I used to take adults, you know, which was very nice, because they would be coming. And I remember this lady who came, and every other person there would get upset with her, because she would say, you know, I can't paint. The moment she came in the morning, she would start complaining. It upset the rest of the, you know, people who were also there. But there were about 7, 8 of them who came. mostly foreigners and locals also, but she was actually somebody who came from England. And she would really make it very, very, miserable for the rest, and they started complaining. Then I told her, listen, you don't worry about doing something wrong. You have come here to learn, so you can't know. So you just go on doing whatever you like. If you don't like to paint whatever the rest are doing, I said, what do you like to do? So she said, I like gardening. So I said, fine, go to the garden and paint the flowers, the leaves, whatever you like. And so she started doing, and she started enjoying herself. And she was basically the only one who came back to me after 3 months with, a lot of work done in her garden. Very nice, beautiful flowers that anyone would like to put on a wall to make it a happy wall, beautifully framed by our dear Abbas probably. But that made me feel very nice, because somehow she was so negative, and then she turned so positive with whatever she was doing, and she was enjoying it. So this was one of the things that makes me feel one can meet and love things that you don't love if you only try to understand them from your perspective, instead of having somebody feed it to you. You try to understand it yourself, as in looking at art for that matter, because people come and they say, we don't come to a gallery, because I had this problem. I had to beg my neighbors to come to the gallery because they would say, we don't understand. So I would tell them, see, unless you come and you try to meet somebody, you're not going to understand, So you should come and try to interpret the way you want. Don't try to think what the artist has in mind. You either like it or don't like it. But you have you have an understanding about your mind liking and not liking, at least there. Yeah, so this is what I would be doing, Then again, because as an artist, I can understand what happens to an artist when the markets are down. It's not that we are painting just to sell, but we have to also live. So it makes a difference, when the markets are down. There was a time when this happened, because up to 2008-9, art was selling like hotcakes, There was no issues. But I remember I had gone to Montreal for my show, and basically I was the only one to sell. And that too, because these were my clients who came in from Toronto. I was in Montreal and bought my works, and some of the friends of mine who were there. And there was a Turkish girl who sold in the same way. And so this guy said, and there was, there were solo shows, all 4 solo shows were open together. So it was me, it was a Turkish lady, there were 2 Brazilians, and they were, one wasn't, because I could see that she just liked to travel and showcase her work. So she had no issues. But there was this young guy who obviously, put in a lot of money to come to Montreal, and he had no sales, and he was very upset about that. So the owner of the gallery said, listen, he said, you go to any of the galleries and you'll find nobody there, because there's this,
Session.
problem. Yeah, recession had taken place at that time. And, it had not heaters really in Goa, at that time. It took a while. I think 2009, late 2009, it started happening. But before that, we were quite okay. So at that time, and years afterwards, it was very bad for the artists, and that's when I decided to have a market, a Friday night art bazaar, which I opened. It was supposed to be, and it was basically a thing which was kind of, run by the artists ourselves, So we got together and we decided to make it happen. And it was going on very well, There were very good sales because we kept the prices low, not high. They could keep any of their works and they could sell, because I didn't charge them any commission. The only thing I charged was about 500 rupees per artist, because I had to get music,
That's true.
to entertain the folks. Yeah, I used to run a cafe, but I didn't charge the person who was running. But we needed the thing work well, and it was going on very well. Um, but I found out that it was only me who had to do all the running all the time to make it happen, because then I tried to make it once a month, which was also a success, but it was too much of a load on me to promote it, to, make it happen, then, ask the artist to come. I couldn't, because it was taking my time off, my painting time away. So I had to kind of stop that, I had to stop it. But when it ran, it was very good. It ran very well. And, I think everybody, including the artists, we all enjoyed the few. I think I had it for maybe, I started somewhere in December and the last one was somewhere in April, if I'm not mistaken.
I
But
remember.
no, I didn't restart it because it was taking too much of my time. Yeah.
Okay, now let me come to
Yeah.
your work in particular. I,
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I feel I have coined the word, and I keep on repeating it.
Right.
Sort of a cliche now. I call your works sort of a nostalgic trip. I always say Yolanda's works are taking us on a nostalgic trip. I would say that because I'm myself stuck in that era of late 70s, and I was born in early 70s, of course. So late 70s and early 80s and early 90s, which I think most of us Goans still remember, or people like me who are stuck in that era feel that this is not the world that I was living in. Because
Absolutely.
I remember when we used to come down from the college and move into the city. I stay in a city, of course, Panjim, but move into the main city, and we used to bump into somebody or the other whom we knew. And if we didn't know that person, at least we knew him, on the face. So today, when we move, we don't find anybody who, or rather, we find very rarely people whom we remember. We don't find the same setup, the same houses, the same faces, the same facades. Luckily, my own region, that is Mala, is still maintaining it because it is a heritage zone. But otherwise, whole of
Absolutely.
Panjim has changed, and people like me are still stuck in that era. And I that is the reason I love to watch see your works, because they take me to that era when my grandfather, my
Back.
grandmother were there, and it was a very lovely place to be in. I don't find this lovely today, of course. Not that it's not good, but for me, it's not something that I severe. Any which way,
Enjoy.
your works are a nostalgic trip. So why do you paint? Most of your paintings are, you know, of it's like documenting Goa. I would say if you look at your works and go through a timeline, then you will find Goa of that era. So why do you paint that? You cannot ask an artist why do you paint those subjects, but I would like to
I
ask.
know. Yeah, basically, I don't really paint only those subjects. I paint anything that touches me. So it always depends on the time, or what touches me at that particular moment. Um, I may be traveling. When I travel, for example, I get influenced by the surroundings around me. So I would be painting there. Or if I go for an art camp, it's again the same thing. So basically, it's what touches me that I paint. But yes, what has touched me most, of course, is the loss of the Goa that I remember. And I think, especially coming from Calungute, which was totally different and has been hit more than any other place in the whole of Goa.
That is
You
true.
know,
That is true.
it hits you. It hits you. And for me, it started happening much before I even started painting. Works that went back in time. Um, because I remember in '86, I finally I made a installation with a book installation with the same poem. Because in 2005 I suddenly started realizing that things are kind of getting more different from where I was coming, rather. And I started seeing people around me that were strange. And I made this show in 2005 called Faces and Phases, um, and mostly they were faces of people now and then, what I would be seeing in 2005. And they were like triptychs, And then I remembered that I had this poem I had written, because my diary always was written in little phrases, little poems with little, with little sketches. But then I had lost the key, and I never went back to that somehow. So I went and I brought that diary, and I broke open, and I found that poem I had written all those years back. So the first time that I put it on was for that show, and it was talking of the loss in Goa. Especially I'm talking about Calungute, because during our time, even as we grew up, even in the 90s, it was already becoming a little bit different. But in 86, I already started noticing the difference. I started noticing that it was not easy to go alone to the beach side, to stay late hours and come home, It was changing. You saw strangers on the road and you were worried, So this was one change, and then the landscape changing, It was very fast, and it was very quick to change from how it was to what it became. It's not the question of changing, everywhere things change, but it always depends on how it changes, If you just put a bed structure, and keep on multiplying, then you are losing the landscape, because many people say, you can't hold on to your past. Things change. Of course, things change, but it depends on how they change, which I didn't like. So obviously, I was always going back to how it was, Then again, the baggers that came, it was an influx of baggers that I used to see when I traveled in India for my sports, Especially Calcutta used to be full of them. In Bombay, we never used to see these beggars in Goa. So then I painted the beggars, because I remember beggars in Goa would come to the house to beg. They would come at occasions. And if they came, they're never going to beg, you know what I mean? They would be sitting in the balcony. But we knew that they came to beg. So my grandmother would go and give them alms and whatever. So I have a lot of works which I've done on the beggars of my time, that were different. So obviously that, comparison will obviously come, and yeah, when you paint, then you're, somewhere you're making yourself happy that, you put it on canvas, and it makes you feel nice. So obviously I've been doing that consciously or unconsciously, yeah, whatever works like these have happened, they have happened consciously, of course, But yeah, I basically have various other topics also, because world happenings also touch me. Then again, I want to see good happening to Goa, because I see that we are losing the unity that used to be there in Goa, We were brought up never looking at somebody and thinking religion, never. We had friends. I think I had more friends from other religions than of my own, And I never thought this person comes from this religion. I'm sure it happens with every other Goan. It would be the same, that I wasn't brought up in that way. But I still believe that, in Goa, we believe in the person and not the religion or community that a person comes from. Maybe I'm they always say you're a dreamer, but I don't know if I am one. But I would rather be a dreamer than and hope that my dream doesn't end, because the Goa that was and embraced everyone. Our doors were always open. Anybody could come and they could walk in. We never had our doors closed.
Yeah,
Never.
that's
Never. They've always open. We can't do that now. We never had grills, Now one is forced to do. One tends to, I think, hang on to how it was, and not hang on, but at least, try to get back in pictures how it was to people who didn't know how it was, And even for me, I like to get it back to remind me of how it was. I remember one particular incident because of open doors. We had robbers in Calungute, but everybody knew these robbers. They were so nice to all of us. They were very good friends, but they would rob you. So when coconuts were falling, they would say, okay, so-and-so is robbing our coconuts. So one day in my ancestral house, I was already married then. That means it was in the 90s, you know, somewhere in the mid 90s. Goa was still quite not that changed in that time. What happened is that my mom was there in the afternoon, and suddenly this guy comes running right inside, and he is a known robber. Everybody knows him. He knows everybody. He respects everyone. But he will come and rob you also. So we knew it. So this guy comes running and says, you know, please hide me somewhere. The cops are behind me. Now, my mother didn't know what to do. Actually, you know how the old houses are. You have the front door, but if you go right through, you will get the back compound and you can go, and he could have disappeared. But mom didn't know what to do, you know, so she said, you just hide somewhere. I cannot tell you where to go. You just go and hide somewhere. So he went and hid himself, I don't know where. So the cops came and they asked mom, you know, did this guy come? So, of course, mom didn't know what to say. She said, I don't know, you all better search if he's there. Because I was cleaning up or whatever, she said, you know, the door is open. So I don't know. Our house is a house of two families, you know. It's one big house wherein two families live. My grand aunt was there. And she was like, Dada. She said, what? There's a robber here? Where is he? She comes from Salsette. So she went hunting for him, I'll tell you. And this poor guy, you know, he had hidden in the bathroom. She caught him. So what I'm trying to say, of course, the cops too came, and the next day they were searching all of the house because he had robbed some money from somebody, and they wanted to see whether he dropped it somewhere. They went to the attic or whatever. But what I'm trying to say is that it was like that. The guy came in, but he's not going to hurt you. He's not going to hurt people who he knows. He will rob, but he will not hurt. So that was how free it was in those days, you know. But now, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. He's one guy who I have missed in getting a portrait of, I suppose, because he was very, very famous. He was very famous in Calungute. He was very good-looking guy, very famous for his activity as a robber. Yeah, but yeah, these things happen, and yeah, I don't know. I guess this just comes out, you know. It just comes out because it's normal. Your feelings tend to, you know, come out, and you want to kind of express yourself. So that's how it is.
Okay, you have also done, besides painting, you have also done small little films. At the same time, you have done installations. So how do you straddle that? I mean,
Yeah, that's again the same thing. I don't know, you know, I just, like for me, if one has to express, I don't even call them installations, you know. For me, it's extension of my work, because when I see something, for example, I used to, you know, when my kid went to school and she was going to Vasco in those days, so I had to get up early to see that she got her taxi which came to take her. And I would go walking to catch to get my newspaper, you know, do the morning walk also. And I would see things. So I would be photographing things that were happening. And then I would, as I photograph something, a thought comes in my mind somehow, you know. Every time I see something, when I see it, I look at it not only as in looking at it just visually, but it, my thoughts go beyond what I see. And then I decided to make this little film, which I called Calungute at Sixes and Sevens. Because as I was walking, I started discovering, you know, things like garbage fallen around, and, you know, a lot of things. At that time, again, I think tourism had kind of taken a setback. Then again, you know, the garbage that is left by, you know, how the tourists basically, you know, started roaming around the place, whatever. So I put the whole thing together. But let me tell you, it was not about garbage. It was not at all about garbage in the sense, you know, it was various things. How the well, for example, you know, the well water, which always used to be the cleanest, you know, we used to, it was springs, which used to be, you know, even my old house, my ancestral house has this well wherein there's a spring. So I saw this well which was full of water bottles. So then again, I thought, you know, clean spring water, and now we are kind of, we depend on bottled water. But the bottled had been, totally not looked after. Nobody was bothered. So these little things. Then again, I would go around and see our local dogs. I like them very much. So I made a little film on those dogs, talking about freedom, actually. Because, yeah, we never used to kind of, nowadays they have the pedigreed dogs and they lock them in because they can get robbed, and they do, so the person who looks after you has to be looked after now, So things like that. Then again, we have this violinist, even in churches now, they're getting back, but it was changing to electric music and whatever. And I have this neighbor who is a violinist. So I put him on a stand for one of the Saturday night bazaars, and I called it history because it's changing now, Now hardly people will use they do nowadays, but there was a time when, it wasn't happening. You bring an electronic piano and start playing music, and so we were losing on that.
Right.
So that's how that came. Then again, I like these guys who come from out playing music, because I always believe the guys who come, we always say that they're no good for us, they're this, they're that, but I really admire them because they're working to earn their living. You have musicians who come from out during the season. So I had this guy who comes with the bull, and there was another guy who played beautifully the flute. I put him on a stand and I called it seasonal visitors. So I just made it and he was playing. It was beautiful, actually. So yeah, and then my dream was actually to have these guys play with a classical, either a pianist or a violinist. But it's very difficult to get these guys to play with these guys who come from out. First of all, I wanted to take that big bull into the gallery and have him play with a pianist. Unfortunately, it was not possible to take the bull in because this guy had a real huge bull. But I did get a chance. I made the violinist play with the with the guy who was playing his his flute with the bull, and I called it matched unmatched, because basically the two don't match. He was actually playing his own music and the violinist was playing his own music. So yeah, these little things, they come in my mind, and then I kind of make it happen, just for fun. But I enjoy it.
Besides this, you don't stop at just painting and doing your installations. You also have instituted, as I said, an award in the name of Dr. Pedro. So tell us something about what was the inspiration behind it? And how
the inspiration. Yeah, tell me.
And how was the experience as such? I mean, satisfying.
Yeah, the thing is, the inspiration was, of course, Dr. Pedro himself, because he gave so much to Goa, and especially to the artists, especially to the artists. And his mind worked different, I remember at that time I had a little interview that somebody had done with him. I think it was Goan Eye or something was at that time. And at that time, he said, he was really impressed by the way the Goan community lived as one, which he didn't see outside Goa. How all the religions, were together and how they lived in harmony. Then again, he spoke about how it was important to know the local language, like Konkani. He really loved, he said he had a teacher actually who was teaching him Konkani. And then he also wanted to learn Marathi because he said, these are languages and one should learn. And that was his dream, to learn both the languages, And anyways, he was for me a very inspiring person to anyone who met him. I remember I met him when he came to the gallery. I thought this is a young guy and he's just come looking at the, paintings because he was a youngster, of course. He was kind of 35, I think,
Yeah.
in 2005. And then he looked around and I just spoke to him, and then he spoke and he said, I'm just looking around. And then he introduced himself as the Consul of Portugal, which I found it, I said, you're very young to be that. I remember after that, I sat with him for a coffee in our little coffee shop. And that day he told me a few things that he did before he passed away, just a year. In less than a year, he had done whatever he told me he would do. For example, a show with the Goan artists, which he had. Then again, he told me that he wanted to change the consulate from the place where it was, because I believe that was like a box. It was a building where it was at Pato. And then he said he would try and find a new place, and he found this beautiful place where the consulate is now. Then again, he put all the things online. You could go online and start, getting your things done or getting appointments or whatever. So there were so many things. And again, down there, he had opened a beautiful space for youngsters. And that is the reason why I thought I should have this award for youngsters, because he always was, looking forward to give something to youngsters to lift them up. So he had started a gallery there, and he used to have exhibitions, I think almost every Friday. I'm not very sure, and it was always either photography. He was a very good photographer himself, But so he had started a lot of things. And so I thought initially we would be meeting and have shows, All the artists would meet on the day that he passed away. That's 29th of November. All the artists, we would meet and have a show or have some event happening in his name. Then I thought it was better to do something that's going to be, helping the youngster, because youngsters normally don't get a chance to have a solo show or, have a show itself. It takes a while before somebody, says, okay, you can join or whatever. So that's the reason why I decided to have this competition for youngsters, where I couldn't give money, but I could give them, a chance to have a solo show. So every year it's like I have a competition, and the winner gets a chance to have a solo show. So when you have the competition, all the people who take part in the competition get a solo show anyways, because it opens as a solo show 1 year, as a group show of all the people who take part in the competition, and the winner gets a chance to have his show in the coming year. So the competition becomes every second year. But it's quite trying to get youngsters to come. You have to run behind them, to join, which I find strange. But whoever has come, the moment they knew, they have, kind of spread the word around, and then more people have come in. So yeah, but last year, I couldn't have it because there were no entries. There were just 1 or 2. So what I did was I took this youngster and had him participate in a group show wherein there was a Portuguese lady who had a show in January. So I made that as the event on his death anniversary, as an annual event. And this youngster he was the only one who kind of approached, So I had him participate. Sagar, actually, Sagar Mulla. Yeah, Sagar. Yeah. Sagar was the guy who won by default because he was the only one who responded to the calling, Because I have it only for people who have just passed out. I give them 2 years. And after that, I think it should be good enough for them to move, And nowadays, youngsters are just not sitting, All of them, yeah, they are into it much before they pass out, which is fantastic, So they really know how they should move and take care of themselves. Yeah, so that's how it worked, basically.
The Sagar Naik Mule is, we are sharing the same village. We are from the same village, Atpoi.
Oh, really? Yeah, a very nice young guy and very, very good work and very enthusiastic about, everything. He's full of life.
He has done something in his days also, inspired by you probably. And
Okay, has he? Super.
unfortunately, because of this COVID thing, he has slightly been difficult for.
Right.
So anyway,
Yes.
before moving, taking a leave, Yolanda, you being the senior most, one of the most respected senior artists in Goa, tell us something about how to go about to the young artists as well as people like me and many others. Your word of advice.
I think nowadays artists don't need advice, I really believe so. Those were the days when you needed somebody kind of to tell you how you should go and whatever. But nowadays the kids are, they have a broad mind. They go to the net. They're very open. They watch world art. They are not the type. I'll tell you that I am one of the type who will take a lot of time to go out of my kind of go out of Goa to showcase or whatever. I say, oh my God, I have got to do that. Or it's not because of age now. This was even before, and I think every artist in Goa in those days, they would wait for somebody to come and invite you, and then okay, we'll send the work, but they would hardly move. But these boys now, they do it. They do it. But basic thing is, yeah, you have to just keep on painting. That's what I do. We are here to paint. Selling is also important, because when you sell, it's not like because of the money itself. It also shows that somebody is interested in your work and somebody likes your work. They like it so much that they want to buy it.
Correct.
So that gives a lot of inspiration to an artist to carry on and experiment more, which one should, I feel. As in, one has a style, but experiment in ways of getting into topics that are different, from whatever we keep on going on. And that comes if you travel. I've realized that whenever you travel, you open your mind and you see different things, you see different artists, you see their work. It's not aping, but it's moving your mind, to be your own self, you know. So, yeah, because there's so much of stuff going on. You go to the net and you see, stuff that's incredible and whatever. But we still have to find a way to show something different from what we have seen, Getting inspired is one thing, but I always remember this teacher of mine. You probably were, I don't know if you were his students, Mr. Harihar. Did he teach you?
Yeah, yeah.
Harihar?
He was my.
Because what I always remember, he was, yeah. Because what I always remember from him is that, he would tell, what, always be yourself. You draw a line, even if it's a crooked line, if it's an ugly line, it doesn't matter. It's your creativity. You have created it. You are the owner of that line. So you should try to do that and not kind of ape, what has already been done. So that, I think, is something to go by. Always try to kind of be yourself, find ways from your own perspective as how you should kind of um, bring your work out, or project what you want to project from your point of view and your way, so that you become different. Topics can be the same, it doesn't matter, but there will be 1,000 people showcasing things in 1,000 ways, and that makes it nice. And I think in Goa there are artists, every artist is very different from the other. Basically, I always find that each one has his own style, his own way of showcasing things, of painting or whatever. And at least I can immediately, if I see a work, I know who is the owner of that. Yeah, identify it. I can, even where the youngsters are concerned, which is nice. Because youngsters normally tend to, but I see that they have understood that they have got to be themselves, and they're enjoying it, and That's fantastic. So I can't give any advice because I think nobody needs advice in today's art world. Yeah, so I only wish them luck and wish that I mean, one should keep on painting, irrespective of whether the art market is down or whether you can showcase. Now you can easily showcase online, one can have solo shows. You don't need to have a curator or whatever, go all out, make your own show, put it online. There are lots of people who are looking at things happening on the net now, especially in these days, no? In the times that we are now. So, best of luck to everybody, including me.
That was a good advice. In fact, the fact that you said not copy anyone, one should be oneself, is the biggest advice, I believe. It's just gist of what you said in a very small way. And students who are right now in the college and people who are outside and try to make a mark, I think they should remember and try to work on this and try to be themselves rather than aping somebody, copying somebody who is already famous, so that they will make a mark which is different and they will stand out of the crowd.
Absolutely.
I'm very, very pleased that I was having you on this show, Yolanda, and great that you are here. I'm very, very thankful again for you taking time off from your busy schedule. I think many a times we shifted time to hold this interview, and I'm very happy that you had it finally. And it was great having you on the show, and hope that you will create more works to inspire us and inspire young artists like us. I'm not that young, of course, but still younger than you.
You are young.
Hope a lot of work from Yolanda to keep us updated about what was happening earlier and what is happening right now. Thank you very much, Yolanda.
Thank you so much.
All the viewers have enjoyed listening to you. My word of advice is always, every time I give, that these are very difficult times. We are going through coronavirus issue that has gripped the whole world, and it has made life miserable for everyone. People like us who want to go out and meet somebody, it's difficult. So we have to stay inside as much as possible, stay safe and stay home, so that we don't infect the people who are at home, our loved and close ones, dear ones. The moment we go out and come back again, I repeat, as I repeat every time, we should have a wash or have wash our hands and legs. So the most important point is have a wash, so that there is no chance of you infecting your near and dear ones if you have caught something on the way. It is better that you stay home as much as possible. I know it's difficult, you have to go out and work on your living, but when you come home, you see that you remain safe and keep your near and dear ones safe once again. Before that, once you move out, I always show this. I mean, this is what my sister did, but one should wear this mask as much as possible when you move out, not when you're sitting at home or when somebody comes to meet you. It is better that somebody does not come to meet you, and it is better that you don't go out to meet anyone. But if someone comes in and if you go out, it is better that you wear a mask like this, so that we don't create troubles for others and we don't create troubles for us, and don't disturb the whole society, that what's happening right now. And hope that everyone stays home safe, stays home healthy, and let us hope that the divine will always bless us. Thank you very much. Good night. Keep watching this channel. Thank you.